this is Jane Talbot, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about Alastair Humphrey's new book, My Midsummer Morning. As you know, this year I'm doing a project called Old Dog New Tricks, larger, more significant adventures than I did in my 365 Days of Adventure project in 2014. And to keep me inspired, I have been reading some books. This weekend, June the 9th, I am competing for the very first time ever in a 400-metre race and an 800-metre race at the West Midlands Masters Track and Field Championships. And I thought that this book would be a really good book to see me to the start line. I started reading it on Sunday, so today is Tuesday, so 2 days ago I started reading it on Sunday evening. And unfortunately, I finished reading it on Monday evening because it was so good. It wasn't really what I expected at all. A lot of the other books I've been reading are about the winning mindset, the athlete's mindset. And I have read lots of classic adventure books too. And I've been, I suppose, a classic type of adventurer myself. But motherhood has certain restrictions, and moving country as well, where you don't know anybody, was a bit of a challenge. So in 2014, I adventured every single day, mostly from home, because I was the main carer for my son. And I suppose those adventures, those mini adventures, were all about me connecting to the place. That's what I learned at the end. It was about me making myself at home in Northern Ireland. But a lot of people said to me, but that's not really proper adventuring, is it? It looks like a lot of fun, but is it really adventuring? This year, 2019, I've got bigger adventures on my plate, and I've set myself the challenge of doing things that I've never done before and that some people think are ambitious and a little bit outrageous considering I've never done them before. And again, most people would say, well, there's no mountains involved, there's no seas involved, there's no dragging things across continents. Well, that is because I am still a mother, even though my son has just left home, and I do have other responsibilities, and I was following my own instincts. Again, I'm doing things that, well, that I wouldn't be particularly talented at. In fact, the 400 and 800 metre race I'm doing at the weekend is revisiting childhood trauma, where I was absolutely rubbish at track and field events at school. What was really refreshing about Alastair's new book is that he revisits the concept of adventure. He questions what it really is and what its value is. And I don't want to put in too many spoilers, but Alastair goes for lessons to learn how to play the violin. He soon works out that playing the violin is pretty hard and takes a long time to be good at. And let me tell you, I played the violin. It takes years for people not to leave the room while you're playing it. So he gave himself 7 months, and he knew he wasn't particularly good at the end of that 7 months. But in spite of that, he wanted to retrace, or at least follow the spirit of Laurie Lee's human-powered foot-walking trip across Spain. And the challenge he set himself was to earn his crust, his daily crust, only through his violin playing, and to respect the spirit of Laurie Lee's adventure. I think what I really liked about this was the idea that, adventure is much broader than today's big adventure heroes paint it to be in their Instagram accounts and in their books. I've read lots and lots of adventure books, and if you're lucky, if that book is well written, you get almost to feel like you're standing by the adventurer or you're part of the expedition. But very rarely do you get inside the adventurer's head. Very rarely do you get behind the facade of the adventurer. And in Alice's book, you do. It's a really honest, brutally honest, heartwarming account of his struggle to come to terms with what his life means to him, what it should be about, his relationships with his children and his wife, and with the great unknown that's an adventure that's always called to him. And he talks about running away from the everydayness of life into adventure. But you kind of get the sense that for this book, for this particular adventure, he's running back home. He's running into himself again. And this adventure helps him resolve to a certain degree the tension between an adventurous life and an adventurous life, family life and connection. And it got me thinking about my own year of adventures. So Old Dog New Tricks, consciously, really was about challenging people's perceptions about what it means to be a postmenopausal woman, and that postmenopausal women don't have to crumble away. They're not, necessarily in physical decline. There are plenty of things that we can do, and in spite of a kind of invisibility, this kind of invisibility gives us freedom to do a whole lot more stuff. But what I've learned, I suppose, a little bit like Alastair, I'm at a stage in my life where, the nest is now empty. I'm in a new phase of life. And I think what my adventures for this year are really about are connecting with people, the value of human connection. And that really comes across strongly in Alice's book. And it got to the stage where I was more interested in reading about the human connections he made. And I was much more interested in his backstory and the tensions that existed in his own life and how he ached to resolve those in a way that respected him and that respected the other people who are important to him in his life. It's that really was more interesting to me than all the landscape he described, which was lovely. And there is a part of me thinking, I'd like to walk like that across a foreign country. Now in my later years, just with a bag on my back. But that really wasn't the adventure. That was just the backdrop. The real adventure was his psychological and emotional journey back to himself. So 5 stars to Alastair Humphreys for this book. And I wish him well. And I love the honesty at the end of the book where he really says, it might not have changed everything and it's still a daily struggle, that tension between wanting to be out adventuring and wanting to be with his family. But all power to him for that honesty. Very refreshing.